Okay, let's dive into something that might flip your perspective entirely. What if I told you that stress, chaos, and even uncertainty weren't just obstacles to be endured? What if they could actually make you better?
That's a challenging thought, isn't it?
It is, because when you think about the opposite of fragile, what comes to mind? Usually robust or strong.
Right. That's the intuitive answer. But our source material today, especially Nassim Nicholas Taleb's work, suggests robustness isn't the true opposite at all.
Okay, so what is?
Well, Taleb introduces this really powerful concept called antifragility. Think about systems or organisms, even structures, that don't just resist stressors, randomness, or, volatility.
They just resist it?
No, they actually improve because of it. They literally thrive on chaos. They sort of need that disruption to grow stronger.
Wow, okay, so it's not just about surviving a hit, it's about actually gaining from it.
Exactly.
To make that a bit more concrete, maybe we can use some metaphors like a wine glass is fragile, right? It shatters under stress.
Yep, classic fragility.
And a rock, that's robust. It just sits there, resists stress, doesn't really change.
Yeah.
But a muscle, now that's different. That feels anti-fragile. It gains strength from stress, like after a workout.
Perfect example. Or even mythology, like the Hydra. You cut off one head.
And two, grow back. Attack it, and it paradoxically gets stronger. Okay, so this deep dive is really about understanding this idea, anti-fragility, and how it might apply to, well, to you.
That's a great frame. And what's really fascinating is how these antifragile systems manage it. They grow stronger through things like overcompensation and redundancy.
Overcompensation and redundancy. What do you mean by that?
So overcompensation means they don't just repair damage back to the baseline.
Yeah.
They actually build back stronger, better than before, adding extra capacity, essentially.
Oh, okay, like the muscle getting bigger.
Exactly. And redundancy is about having backups, multiple ways of doing things. So a single failure doesn't just collapse the whole system. These things together mean the system is better prepared for the next challenge.
When you talk about systems getting away from stress, my mind immediately jumps to something like physical training. Is that a good example of anti-fragility in action?
Oh, absolutely. The human body is a prime example. When you lift weights, you're causing tiny amounts of damage, these micro tears in muscle fibers.
Right, intentionally stressing the system.
And your body doesn't just patch them up, it overcompensates, making those fibers thicker, stronger. That's adaptation.
And the flip side is true too, right? Like astronauts losing bone density in space.
Precisely. Because they're removed from the stressor of gravity that keeps bones strong. Lack of stress makes them fragile in that context. Even vaccines, they work on this principle. A weakened version of a threat trains the immune system.
Makes it stronger for the real thing. This idea where a small dose, something stressful, actually makes you stronger. Is there a term for that? It sounds crucial.
There is, yeah. It's often called hormesis. That beneficial response to a low dose of a stressor. It's like a training drill for your body's systems.
Hormesis, okay.
And if you connect this to, say, finance, it changes how you might think about risk. Taleb talks about what he calls the barbell strategy.
The barbell strategy, how does that work?
It's an anti-fragile approach. You put most of your capital, maybe 80 or 90%, into extremely safe, almost boring investments. Ultra low risk.
Okay, the safe end of the barbell.
Right. Then you take the remaining small portion, say 10 or 20%, and put it into very high risk, but potentially very high reward opportunities. Things like venture capital or speculative bets.
So you're protected from huge losses, but open to huge gains.
Exactly. It limits your maximum downside while leaving the upside potentially unlimited, especially when volatility hits. It seems counterintuitive because you're embracing extremes, not the middle ground.
That is fascinating. It challenges that instinct to just find the moderate path for everything. And it's not just finance or biology. You mentioned nature earlier, like wildfires. I always thought of those as purely bad.
Well, some ecosystems show amazing antifragility. Take certain forests. Some pine cones, believe it or not, only open up and release their seeds when exposed to the intense heat of a wildfire.
Really? So the fire is necessary for rebirth?
In some cases, yes. They depend on that periodic stress for regeneration. And paradoxically, if we try too hard to suppress all the small natural fires,
you get a buildup of fuel.
Exactly.
Oh.
Which makes the forest more fragile, setting the stage for one massive, uncontrollable blaze later on. It highlights a core principle. Small, repeated stresses often build capacity.
Whereas trying to maintain perfect, constant stability can actually make a system brittle.
Right. That tranquility can be fragility in disguise. Weaknesses just hide until a big shock comes along.
So, okay, bringing this back to us, what does this mean for you listening right now? How can we actually build some of this anti-fragility into our daily lives? Seems like we should invite some stress in.
In a controlled way, yes. For physical resilience, think about things like resistance training, maybe intermittent fasting, or even controlled cold exposure, not punishment, but stimuli to make your systems adapt and strengthen.
Okay, those are physical. What else?
Think broader. Diversify your income streams, maybe. So one shock to your main job doesn't wipe you out financially.
Makes sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And maybe seek out volatility in areas where the cost of failure is low, like try side projects, creative experiments, things where the potential upside is large, but the downside is capped.
Low risk experimentation.
Yeah. And crucially, resist the urge to over-optimize everything. Leave some slack in your schedule. Keep some cash reserves instead of investing every penny. Build in redundancies for critical things in your life.
That feels inefficient sometimes, though, that slack.
It might feel inefficient in perfectly calm times, sure. But that inefficiency becomes priceless protection and adaptability when uncertainty inevitably hits.
Right. So, to kind of wrap up the main idea, fragile systems fear stress. Robust systems endure it.
But anti-fragile systems actually feed on it.
Right.
They get better.
They need it.
So maybe your final thought for you to consider. What if chaos isn't just an enemy to avoid? What if it's actually an ally, something to be leveraged? Maybe stop chasing that illusion of absolute stability. And instead, think about how embracing controlled uncertainty strategically could actually make you stronger in what's undeniably an unpredictable world.